Well, hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Great to see you again. Welcome back to Lessons by the Lake, the Oswego Private Wealth Show. I'm your moderator, Ryan Ruff. Great to be back with everybody today. And as always, I'm going to be joined by Mr. Bob Bedreitis, the managing director over at Oswego Private Wealth. Bob, best known for helping business owners become financially independent of their businesses, because at the end of the day, he also believes that they deserve to maximize the value of that life's work. And we bring you wealth management discussions on this show. We dive into a lot of different strategies and solutions. We also bring some great guests to you. And boy, do we have a great guest joining us today. You know, I'll save the honors for Bob. Obviously, Bob has a pre-existing relationship with today's guest, and really excited to welcome the Confidence Coach on today. But first and foremost, let's say hi to the man of the hour. Bob, good to see you this morning. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, Ryan. Great to see you as always.
Of course, of course. So, Bob, we've got an awesome guest joining us today. Why don't you tell me a little bit about your prior relationship with Scott, our guest, and why it is that you wanted to even have him on the show in the first place today?
Well, Scott and I, thank you, Ryan. Well, Scott and I, we swim in the same pool. We both work with entrepreneurs, business owners, those men and women that have built America and continue to build America. And many of them are an inflection point of growing their business taking it to the next level. Others are at that inflection point of saying, what's my next act? I'm getting, they're baby boomers. They're considering the next generation, family businesses or not. Do they sell the business, give it to employees, take it to the next generation of the family? And so by virtue of having to go through those decisions, what are they doing? They're asking themselves important questions. And that's what we're going to dig into today. So Scott Ballard is the founder, owner, the main man of the Confidence Coach LLC. And he's built a career working with the same kinds of clients that we work with here at Oswego Private Wealth, and helping take business owners to the next level based on what they want to do, and helps them work through that process of asking the right questions. And so there's so much, the right questions, the deep conversations, so much I want to get into with that. But let me just pause and stop right here and just say, Scott Ballard, so excited to have you on the show. Thank you so much for being a part of this, and good morning to you.
Yeah, excited to be here, guys, and looking forward to the conversation, but more importantly, the insight that we'll provide to your listeners today, and to those people out there that we know and we work with and we believe in. And that's one thing, Bob, as we talked the other day, is believing in people empowers you to actually ask them the question that nobody else in their circle will ask them. And so that's what we're going to talk about today.
Fantastic. Well, listen, there's something I know about you, and you have a superpower. And I was hoping you could share with our audience, what is your superpower? How did it develop? And how do you use it today?
Yeah, my superpower really is asking the question that nobody else in the room or on the board or that works for you is willing to ask or has the courage to ask. And, that started, strange enough, Bob, when I was 8 years old. I started going to school and really struggled with my learning. And back then in the 60s, dyslexia wasn't a known thing. The teachers weren't equipped. And so I was diagnosed with all these things. But what I learned out of that was the ability to ask a different or unique question, because I was different and unique. So I had to approach learning in a different way. So I got a lot of practice. I started doing what I'm doing today when I was 8, 9, 10 years of age, with my teachers, with my tutor, with those people saying, okay, this doesn't work for me, but could we try this? Here's another way. And so I built that and started doing that clear back then. As I really struggled, at the beginning, of trying to learn like everybody else.
Well, that's fantastic. So talk a little bit about the work you do now, Scott. Who you work with, what you do for them, and big picture question I have is, why do you think that business owners hold back from asking themselves these questions on their own?
Yeah. Yeah, so who I work with, there are business owners, CEOs, people that everybody else is looking to, but afraid of, or don't doesn't have the courage or the confidence to ask the most important question too. And so people that are in this are extremely lonely, and they're a level of trust or people that they can actually be open with and honest with is for most people really nobody. And so I enter that space and have those conversations and talk about, for an example, somebody that's created a lot of financial wealth, Bob, but what is the wealth in the other areas of your life, your family, your faith, your fitness, your all these other is like, where are you, how are you doing in those areas, and how can you create wealth in that regard? And so what do you really want from your life is a really powerful thing. Who are you? Who are you? What's your identity? And are you truly living into that? And so we're talking about these things that they're not talking about with anybody else. And so that's who we work with, the entrepreneur, the person that has had really big success in their business. And then at 3 o'clock in the morning, they wake up and they go, is this all there is to it? Right. And so I've been there, you've been there. And so that's where I enter into their world and say, well, let's talk about that. Let's have a conversation about that for you. And let's see where that leads and see if there can't be more wealth, what we call total wealth in your life. And that's all the other areas that we don't focus on and don't talk about.
Well, it's interesting to me, and it's something that's kind of baffled me over the course of my life, really the course of my career. And that's when I spend a significant amount of time, or maybe it's just a 5 minute conversation at a sporting event or a party or something like that, and I'm just always mystified, because I love to ask questions. And when I can walk away from that conversation and say, hey, I know 5, 10 things about that guy or gal that I really learned something, and come to think of it, they asked me absolutely nothing about myself. And I'd go, well, is that arrogance? Is that lack of confidence? Is that a general lack of curiosity? Or probably they're just not that interested in getting to know me. But it's just it. But going to what you're saying, it's that reflective question that makes the difference on whether you go to the right or you go to the left, and you take the next path less traveled and make decisions that are beneficial to your life, whether it's your business, your health, your family, your faith. Is that what you're saying in large measure?
Yeah, yeah. I was sitting in a restaurant with my wife a couple weeks ago in Bend, which is a beautiful area of Oregon, and my wife entered a conversation with this gentleman sitting over from us, and the conversation developed, and he's somebody that has had tremendous success in his business and financially. And I was sitting there and I said to him, I said, John, I said, what do you really want? Now we're in a restaurant, there's other people around, and he kind of looks at me and he goes, what do you mean? And I go, what do you really, really want? And he started to cry. A tear came down his cheek and he goes, you know, nobody's ever really asked me what I want. They only want what they want. And I've never been asked that seriously. And he goes, I don't know who you are or how you ended up here tonight, but it's a really critical time in my life. I'm having to make a really big decision about my company and about my family, and I'm not sure where to turn. And that led to a really interesting conversation around some beautiful desserts and just really dealing with that. So he got up about 3/4 of the way through that conversation, guys. He went to the bathroom, and I thought, okay, we're probably done. He comes back, and I said, "Are you okay?" And he goes, "I'm okay. This is going to change my life. I want to have another conversation with you." And he gave me the biggest hug I've ever had. And he goes, "This was a God appointment. This was meant to be." And he goes, "Thank you for having the courage to ask me what nobody else in my life would ask me. What do I really want? And keep asking that question till I can tell the truth about what I really want." Because he's about meeting everybody else's needs and their wants and their desires. And he had never at 51 years of age got honest about what that is for him.
Wow, I love that story, Scott, and it brings up a really interesting point, one that Bob and I have had a lot of conversations surrounding on this show, and that is this concept of living an amazing life of significance. And that word significance is very paramount because it can vary in terms of what significance means to you, me, Bob. So when you're having a moment like that, let's say with John, as you mentioned, where he's at a crossroads, I would imagine a lot of that next conversation that you had was surrounding this idea of defining what significance was to him, and maybe defining what that next steps in life. I'm curious, just because that's a fantastic story, to talk with me through, where that conversation goes from there. Once you've got a business owner that's okay, now really starting to dig in and think about what comes next beyond the monetary success and the business success, how's that next conversation really go?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the next conversation was this: what are the lies that you're believing about yourself? Woo. So what is the lie? So when I say to you, John, what is the negative thought when I say, John, you know what? You have the potential to do this or to that. What is the first voice that you hear in your head? And he goes, "I'm not enough. Even though I'm worth $100 million, I'm not enough." And so we get out what are the lies that are holding him back from having this fulfilling life. And it's that voice, that's false identity. So we have to get those out. So we got all those out, and he had a list of them. We got all those out, and then I said to him, I said, "What is the truth about each one of these? What does love say the truth is about you not being enough?" And love says, "You're perfect just the way you are." This is the deepest work we can do with people, with leaders, with these CEOs, with these entrepreneurs, is do the work beyond the business and the financial and all this. The deepest work is in here. It's in our thinking, it's in our belief, and it's in being honest and telling the truth. Here's the lies that I'm dealing with. And when I'm living out of a lie, I'm making bad choices. Maybe not in my business today, but in my life, with my family, in my marriage, with my employees, with my community, with my own health. Maybe it's causing me to drink way too much, right? That's because we're living a lie, and it's impacting the choices, which is impacting our total wealth. Total wealth is having wealth in all of your life, from fun to faith to family to your health to fitness. It's not just your financial picture, because most of these people, they've sacrificed all the other wealth in their life to get to this point. And we come in order to rescue them, to provide a way to have wealth and all that. What would your life be like 3 years from today if you had the same amount of wealth in your family as you do in your finances or in your business? This is what I said to John. John goes like, I would have my three boys, they would be the greatest joy of my life. You cannot put a price tag on that. And I said, but John, this is the work you're not doing because you're believing a lie that you're not a good enough father. Right? And so this is the deepest work that I found in 17 years that I can do with people. And this is the work I began at 8 years of age, is having these conversations that lead to transformation or awareness. Just being aware of the lies is a huge breakthrough for these people, because nobody sat down with them and said, what about you? And what is the truth about the lies you're believing?
Wow, that's powerful.
Nobody has the guts to sit with a billionaire. I was telling Bob this other day, I've got this young kid, he's 35, he's a billionaire. Nobody has the guts to say, you're screwing it up with your wife and your 4 kids. You're not going to make it if you do not start investing like you're investing in your business, in your family. Like, it is going to be a train wreck. It's real soon. I love you. I believe in you. And I believe it can be, because you've proved in the business that you can create great wealth. If you've done it there, you take the same principles, right, Bob? And you transfer them to being a father, to being a great in your community, to your fitness, to your faith practice, whatever that is. Like, you already have the skill set, but you've believed the lie that your whole identity is caught up in you owning this company.
Well, that is powerful, and your questions in there have got me thinking. So they work. They work. The power of questions work. And there's something when you tell the story of John, and I think one of the things we're committed to here, and we say this often, is that we believe that our clients, business owners, deserve to maximize the value of their life's work. Well,
Yeah.
on the surface, you say 2 things. Number one is, like, guy says, well, I don't think I deserve it. I'm not worthy. But really, when we say that, we don't mean just get the highest price when you sell your business. Maximize the value of your life's work, how you poured your life into other people, how you have made a difference and influenced their lives, how you're able to provide for your family and give them opportunities that they would not have otherwise have had. And what kind of character building are you doing with your team, with your family? You've encompassed all of that, and the power of your questions has got me thinking about this and trying to say this for the first time on this show, that this is what we mean when we say maximize the value of your life's work.
Yeah. We call it total wealth. Like, what is your total wealth? So we have a scorecard, and we have people rate themselves 1 to 10, like, where am I at in my business and my finances? Where am I at in my family? Where am I at in my fitness and my fun and my faith? And then go, okay, here's where you're at. Where can we help you 3 years from today so you have wealth across 5 out of these 6 areas, or 4 out of these 6, or whatever it may be? And what does that make possible if we had wealth across all those areas? What contribution and how do we feel about life? We're experiencing life at a level that for most entrepreneurs and business owners, they didn't believe was possible before we talked to them. But it is, because they've already done it. We just have to make them aware that they've already done it. Let's eliminate the lies. Let's download the truth of who you are, and let's apply it, and let's make this life that is abundant in every way. And that's what we're about.
So
I'm a little passionate. I apologize.
No, we love it. Ryan and I don't we, Ryan? We love passion.
No, this is great.
We love people with strong opinions, and we love people who have thought through their opinions. Which is even better than just plain having strong opinions. So when you do this work, Scott, and you're asking these very deep, very profound questions, within your process, there must be an accountability factor and a measurement and how long do you typically work with CEOs and business owners? What's the accountability look like within your practice? I'm very curious about that.
Yeah, so normally, Bob, it's 3 years because the framework to shift from being just totally centric to running your business or your final whatever, and shifting that takes time. Like, it doesn't happen overnight, but we're looking for progress every quarter. So it's 3 years. It's a quarter. Every quarter we come back and we measure the progress they've made, and then we celebrate that, and then we go, okay, where can we go in the next 90 days with these other areas? And that's the accountability. So we're keeping score on a quarterly basis, and we're supporting them with different tools and resources and people that can help them. Like a CEO, young CEO of a company, has built a great company, but he realizes that he doesn't have the tools to be a great father. Now, I'm thinking of a particular person right now, but so we helped get some resources to him. So he became a student because he didn't have a father growing up. He became a student to learn how to become a really good father to his kids. Well, this is a beautiful thing that has value for his lifetime. So he's learning that. So over this year, that is one of his wealth creation activities, is learning how to be a great father and the legacy of that, right? And so that's how we hold accountability. That's how we break it down, and we look at the different categories. We don't do it all at once. That's not reality. These are busy people. These are people that already have a full life. So we don't want to kill them, but we want them to start to feel the momentum. This is an unseen internal momentum of them starting to create wealth in other areas. And as they do, there's momentum. They go, well, I'm getting my health back. Like, I've done Peloton 4 times this week. Like, I have a guy, he's saying, and it's for him, it's like, I'm now winning in other parts of my life. So when he goes back to his company, guess what happens? He's a better leader. He's a better leader. His people are getting a better experience, and he's looking at the company with a balance because he has wealth in other parts of his life that he can draw from. Think about that. That's a resource. When your family is doing well, what happens in your business? It does better. This we never talk about because in our Western culture, we only keep score, and we were raised in this by how our business and our finances, that is the only measuring stick. I'm throwing all that out. I'm contrarian to everybody. I'm saying that is not true wealth. How many billionaires and millionaires do I know and I've worked with that are the most miserable people in the world because they only have one wealth? And I'm here to shout from the rooftop to say, get all 6 wealths and see what real living is about. Have peace, be able to go to sleep and not wake up at 3:15 in the morning because you're a good father, because you practice your faith, because you have peace, because you have some health and fitness, because you know that you have not one wealth, but all of them. Wow. What a legacy to leave your employees, your partners, the world, your community, your neighborhood, your family, your grandkids. Wow. So
Scott, there's another interesting conversation point that Bob and I have had on this show, and it's, we have a lot of conversations surrounding exit planning. As a business owner is getting ready to leave their business, pass it on to maybe the next generation or outright sell. But this concept of, I've sold my business, now what? That comes up in some of our conversations on this show. So I'm curious to get your take on maybe some of these similar conversations that you've maybe had with some business owners out there that have been so one-dimensional, maybe focusing on that one section of wealth in their life coming from their business. Now it's sold, and now they're sitting there thinking, now what? Talk to me a little bit about maybe any experiences that you've had with regard to this idea of I sold my business, now what?
Yeah, this is great. I've done quite a few of these. So it is the opportunity that you've earned by being a successful entrepreneur business owner. You have now the opportunity to take all of that passion, that learning, that wisdom, that resource, that asset you've built, and go to these other areas of your life and have success or create great wealth there, right? So it's what we call a transfer. So you're transferring that into these other areas, and these other areas will meet your need to build and to create and to do, because they're buildable. All of these can be built up. All of these can go and be successful and create that life that you want. The worst thing, and people are going to hate me for saying this, the worst thing we can do, because of the way our minds are set up, is say, I have sold, now I'm retired. And the message that sends to your body and your mind is slow death. I was in insurance for 21 years. I built an agency nationwide, blah, blah, blah. And I've been to actuary conferences, and people that retire in the sense of the way we define it in the United States today, and don't have a solid plan to continue to build wealth in their life, end up sick, dead, or depressed. We all can think of people right now that we know that's happened to. And that is what we do, is we take that opportunity and we say, okay, here's a 3-year plan for you not to fall into that, to give you meaning and purpose. What they need to find is the meaning and purpose that they had in their company, and they need to be able to find it on one of these other 5 areas. And we help them do that. And most of them choose 2 or 3 or 4, and they become passionate about that. We have a guy that went from 50 pounds overweight to running marathons because he now could invest in the training and the ability to build wealth in his health, right? So that's what that's what happens there. So we love those people. Now, I will tell you, you have to fight through the lie that, they're not supposed to do anything, or that they're done. When you send your brain the message that you're done, holy smokes, get out of the way. That is the worst sign you want to send to yourself. So we work on transferring all those skills and ability and talent and energy into these other areas.
Well, Scott, it's I think we could probably speak for hours, and we'll have to have you back. We'll have to have you back on the show to do that. But you published an article not too long ago that said the biggest disability is a bad attitude, and you clearly personify for me this great attitude, because you're the first man I've ever talked to that got excited about what he learned at an actuarial conference.
Yeah, exactly. I know what you mean by that. Most of our audience won't know that, but that is absolutely true.
Well, if any of us have known actuaries, I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. That's good.
Well, Scott, I mean, we had mentioned earlier, you do a lot of this work, having somebody really look into themselves and recognize the power of the right questions. For anybody out there, that's in our audience that, would benefit from something like this, or learning more about you and your team over at the Confidence Coach, what would be the best way somebody could look you up and learn more?
Yeah, confidencecoach.org is our website. I will tell you, and me and Bob talked about this a little bit, this is not work for me. I've been an entrepreneur for 45 years. Like, this is what I was made to do. I'm so fortunate. I plan on doing this until they tell me, okay, you got to get in the box. It's over. Like, at the end of the day, like, this is energizing. And here's an interesting thing. Everybody's wanting to be younger, feel younger, have more energy. This is how you do it. You find something that you're passionate, you're curious, you're interested in, that you can do for the rest of your life, and you got energy. You're alive. and so that's what I get to do. So yeah, we're blessed to do that.
Fantastic. And of course, as always, Bob, we have these great conversations surrounding the intersection, if you will, of wealth management and life with a lot of your business owner clients and audience members that are a part of this show. Bob, for anybody that is interested in talking to your team, open up a dialogue about wealth management, respectively, what would be the best way they can get in touch with you guys?
Yeah, please come to our website, oswegoprivatewealth.com. Fantastic entry point to get in touch with us. We'd be delighted, excited to talk to you.
Fantastic. Well, Scott, Bob, really appreciate you both carving some time out of your busy day to jump on and unpack the power really that is behind asking the right questions. So really a good conversation today, and I look forward to being back with both of you, down the road a bit.
Thanks, Ryan.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Of course, and we want to take one final moment, as we always do, and thank you all, our audience, for stopping by and spending some time with us today. If you did take something away from today's discussion with Scott Ballard over at The Confidence Coach or with Bob, feel free to go ahead and hammer that subscribe button on whichever platform you checked us out on today so that you don't miss out on other great conversations like these, where whether it's Bob and I diving into a wealth management strategy or solution, or us bringing on another great esteemed guest that brings their own wealth of experience and expertise to the table. Either way, when you make sure you're subscribed, you won't miss out on that future content. Before Bob and Scott, I'm Ryan. We're going to go ahead and say so long today, but we appreciate you stopping by and being with us on Lessons by the Lake.